Have you ever witnessed someone publicly humiliate another person? Ham's sin should terrify us. This is why Noah cursed his own son, especially someone they're supposed to respect and honor. Maybe it happened at work, at a family gathering, or even online. Often, what starts as a seemingly harmless act of mockery or gossip can spiral into devastating consequences. Today, we'll dive into a biblical story that illustrates this truth perfectly, a story about Noah and his son, Ham. This story from Genesis 9 might seem like a simple account of one man's mistake and his family's reaction. But beneath the surface, it reveals deep moral truths about honor, respect, and how our actions can impact future generations. Ham's decision to expose his father's vulnerability led to a curse, not only upon himself, but also upon his descendants. Meanwhile, his brothers, Shem and Japheth, showed a starkly different approach, one marked by respect and discretion. Why does this story matter to us today? Because Ham's sin isn't just about his actions thousands of years ago. It's a reflection of human tendencies that persist to this day, delighting in others' mistakes, spreading gossip, and failing to uphold the dignity of those we should honor. Think about it. How often do we see people publicly shamed on social media, with their mistakes magnified for the world to see? How often do families fall apart because of a lack of respect between generations? The story of Ham challenges us to consider our role in these situations. Will we choose to be like Ham, exposing and mocking others, or like Shem and Japheth, who chose to protect their father's dignity? Stay with me as we unpack this powerful story from Genesis, exploring its meaning, its relevance today, and the lessons it holds for all of us striving to live lives of integrity and love. This isn't just a story about ancient times, it's a mirror held up to the context of the story. To truly grasp the weight of Ham's actions and the lessons from this story, we first need to understand the context in which it unfolds. The story is set in Genesis 9, shortly after the Great Flood, a pivotal event in biblical history. Noah, described as a righteous man in Genesis 6 verse 9, was chosen by God to lead humanity's survival through the flood. Alongside his wife, his three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and their wives, Noah boarded the ark with pairs of animals to escape the judgment brought upon the world's wickedness. After enduring 40 days of rain and months of waiting for the floodwaters to recede, they emerged onto dry land, carrying with them the hope of a new beginning. As they settled into this post-flood world, Noah planted a vineyard, harvested its grapes, and eventually made wine. This is where the story takes a significant turn. In Genesis 9 verse 21, we learn that Noah drank too much wine and became drunk, lying uncovered in his tent. For a man once described as blameless and righteous, this was a moment of vulnerability, a reminder that even the most faithful can falter. This brings us to Ham. Genesis 9 verse 22 states that Ham, Noah's second son, saw the nakedness of his father. At first glance, this might seem like a simple observation, but the original Hebrew language and cultural context suggests something far more serious. In the Bible, the phrase "to see someone's nakedness" often implies a sense of dishonor or even immoral behavior. While the text doesn't explicitly detail what Ham did, his reaction to Noah's vulnerability is what stands out. Instead of helping his father or covering him, Ham mocked him and told his brothers, Shem and Japheth, about what he saw. This action wasn't just disrespectful, it was a public humiliation of his father, the very man who had ensured his survival during the flood. Shem and Japheth, in stark contrast, responded with dignity and respect. In Genesis 9 verse 23, they took a garment, walked backward into the tent, and covered their father without looking at him. Their actions highlighted their respect for Noah and their understanding of the gravity of the situation. When Noah awoke and learned what had happened, he responded with a prophetic declaration. "Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be to his brothers." Genesis 9 verse 25. Canaan, Ham's son, bore the brunt of this curse. This has raised many questions over the centuries. Why was Canaan cursed instead of Ham? Some scholars suggest that Ham's sin may have extended to or influenced Canaan. Others propose that Noah's curse was prophetic, foretelling the eventual subjugation of Canaan's descendants to the Israelites. This story, though brief, carries profound implications. It isn't just about one man's mistake, it's a commentary on respect, responsibility, and the far-reaching consequences of our actions. In the next section, we'll dive deeper into the moral lessons this story teaches and what it reveals about human nature. Moral analysis. The story of Ham and Noah goes far beyond a moment of drunkenness and exposure. At its core, it addresses profound themes of respect, integrity, and the consequences of our actions, not just for ourselves, but for those who come after us. Let's break down the moral lessons embedded in the story and consider how they apply to our lives. 1. The sin of Ham, a failure of respect. Ham's sin is not merely that he saw his father's nakedness, but that he reacted with disrespect and dishonor. The key issue is his response. Instead of shielding his father's dignity, he chose to mock him and involve others. This lack of respect is especially egregious given Noah's role as the patriarch of the family and the man who had ensured Ham's survival during the flood. In the cultural and biblical context, honoring one's parents is a cornerstone of morality. This principle is later codified in the Ten Commandments. Honor your father and your mother, so that you may live long in the land the Lord your God is giving you. Exodus 20 verse 12. Ham's actions violated this commandment in spirit. Rather than honoring his father, he exposed his vulnerability and likely found amusement in it. The Bible frequently warns against mocking or dishonoring parents, emphasizing the gravity of such actions. Proverbs 30 verse 17 states, "The eye that mocks a father and scorns a mother will be picked out by ravens of the valley and eaten by vultures." Ham's behavior reveals a deeper issue, a heart attitude that delights in the failings of others, especially those in authority. This attitude is not only disrespectful but destructive, both for the individual and for the relationships it affects. 2. The contrast of Shem and Japheth, honor in action. In stark contrast to Ham, Shem and Japheth displayed respect and care for their father. They chose not to look upon Noah's nakedness and went out of their way to preserve his dignity. Their actions exemplify a principle found throughout Scripture, covering the faults of others with love and compassion rather than exposing them for ridicule. 3. The curse of Canaan, consequences across generations. One of the most striking aspects of this story is the curse pronounced by Noah, not directly on Ham, but on Canaan, Ham's son. While this might seem unjust at first glance, it highlights a recurring biblical theme, the generational impact of sin. The Bible frequently warns that the consequences of sin can extend beyond the individual, affecting families and even entire nations. For example, Exodus 20 verse 5 states, "I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, punishing the children for the sin of the parents to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me." This does not mean that children are held morally accountable for their parents' actions, but rather that sinful patterns, behaviors, and consequences often ripple through generations. In Canaan's case, his descendants, the Canaanites, became adversaries of Israel and eventually suffered subjugation. This should serve as a sobering reminder of the weight of our actions. Our choices can influence not only our lives, but also the lives of those who come after us. 4. The danger of delighting in sin. Ham's actions also expose a dangerous tendency in human nature, finding joy in the mistakes or vulnerabilities of others. This is a form of pride where we elevate ourselves by diminishing someone else. Proverbs 14 verse 9 warns against this mindset. "Fools mock at sin, but among the upright there is favor." Ham's reaction to Noah's vulnerability reflects a lack of empathy and an inclination toward ridicule rather than compassion. In contrast, Shem and Japheth's actions remind us of the importance of humility and grace when others falter. 5. Lessons for today: respect and discretion. This story is timeless because it addresses universal human struggles. In today's world, Ham's sin can be seen in how people expose others' flaws, often for entertainment or personal gain. Social media, for example, has become a platform where people's mistakes are magnified and mocked, often without context or compassion. How often do we share a rumor or gossip about someone's shortcomings instead of offering support or understanding? How often do we judge others harshly while excusing our own failings? The actions of Shem and Japheth provide a powerful counterexample. They remind us that discretion, respect, and a willingness to protect others' dignity are hallmarks of true character. Their behavior aligns with the golden rule taught by Jesus. So in everything, do to others what you would have them do to you. Matthew 7 verse 12. 6. Forgiveness and redemption. It's important to note that while Noah's curse upon Canaan highlights the consequences of sin, it also points to the possibility of redemption. The Bible repeatedly emphasizes that God's mercy is greater than any curse or consequence. Through Jesus Christ, we are offered forgiveness and a new beginning, regardless of our past. Galatians 3 verse 13 declares, Christ redeemed us from the curse of the law by becoming a curse for us. This means that while the story of Ham is a warning, it is not the final word. Through repentance and faith, we can break free from the cycles of sin and its consequences, both for ourselves and for future generations. Conclusion of the analysis. The moral lessons from Ham's story are clear. Respect and honor are foundational virtues, especially within families. Love and discretion can shield others from unnecessary shame. Our actions have consequences that can ripple through generations, for better or worse. Redemption is always possible through God's grace. In the next section, we'll explore how these lessons can be applied in our modern lives and why they remain relevant in today's world. Relating the story to modern life. The story of Ham and Noah is not just an ancient tale, it's a timeless mirror reflecting human nature and the challenges we face in our relationships today. Let's explore how the moral lessons from this story resonate in our modern world and how we can apply them in our daily lives. The temptation to expose others. In the age of social media, the temptation to expose the mistakes of others has never been greater. Platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter have become modern equivalents of Ham's actions, where people take pleasure in revealing someone's vulnerabilities to a public audience. Viral posts often highlight embarrassing moments, and the internet can be quick to judge without context or understanding. Consider a scenario. Someone accidentally says or does something foolish, and within minutes, a video is shared, inviting ridicule from strangers around the world. Much like Ham's mockery of Noah, this behavior not only humiliates the individual, but also reflects poorly on those who spread the content. As Christians, or simply as ethical individuals, we are called to act differently. The example set by Shem and Japheth reminds us of the importance of discretion and protecting the dignity of others. Instead of spreading gossip or amplifying someone's shame, we should strive to cover their faults with compassion and respect. The importance of family honor. One of the central lessons of this story is the importance of honoring our parents and maintaining family unity. In today's world, familial relationships are often strained by misunderstandings, disagreements, or even public exposure of private matters. Think about reality TV shows or online platforms where family disputes are broadcast for entertainment. This is a modern manifestation of Ham's sin, exposing the flaws of those closest to us for the amusement of others. Such actions not only harm relationships, but also undermine the biblical principle of honoring our parents and elders. Ephesians 6 verses 2-3 reminds us, "Honor your father and mother. This is the first commandment with a promise, that it may go well with you and that you may live long in the land." Honoring our parents doesn't mean ignoring their flaws or pretending they're perfect. Instead, it involves showing them respect, offering forgiveness when needed, and preserving their dignity, even in moments of weakness. Generational impact and legacy. The curse pronounced on Canaan underscores the idea that our actions can have consequences far beyond ourselves. In modern terms, this is often seen in the way negative behaviors, such as disrespect, addiction, or poor communication, are passed down through generations. For example, a parent who consistently mocks or belittles others may unknowingly teach their children to do the same. Over time, this pattern can create a legacy of bitterness and division within the family. Conversely, families that prioritize forgiveness, respect, and grace create a positive legacy that benefits future generations. Breaking negative cycles requires intentional effort. Just as Ham's actions brought shame upon his lineage, our actions today can shape the future of our families, for better or worse. By choosing to emulate Shem and Japheth's example, we can lay a foundation of honor and compassion that impacts generations to come. The danger of mockery and gossip. Mockery and gossip are not confined to ancient times. They are pervasive in modern society. Whether in the workplace, among friends, or on social media, it is all too easy to participate in conversations that tear others down. Proverbs 11 verse 9 warns, "With their mouths the godless destroy their neighbors, but through knowledge the righteous escape." Mockery often stems from pride, a desire to feel superior by highlighting someone else's flaws. Ham's actions reflected this attitude. He could have chosen to help his father or remain silent, but instead, he sought to humiliate Noah by telling his brothers. In contrast, Shem and Japheth teach us a better way. They refused to join in the mockery and instead acted with kindness and discretion. This lesson is particularly relevant today as we navigate relationships in an interconnected and highly visible world, applying the lessons in everyday life. So, how can we live out the principles taught in this story? Here are a few practical applications. Think before you speak or share. Before gossiping or sharing something potentially harmful about someone else, pause and ask yourself, would I want this said or shared about me? Protect the dignity of others. If you witness someone making a mistake, consider how you can help rather than harm. This might mean offering a kind word, helping them correct the situation, or simply remaining silent. Model respect in your family. Teach children and younger generations the importance of honoring family members, even when disagreements arise. Demonstrate forgiveness and love in your own actions. The role of forgiveness and redemption. While Ham's story highlights the consequences of sin, it also points us toward the possibility of redemption. The Bible reminds us that through Christ, we can break free from the cycles of shame, disrespect, and generational curses. Galatians 6 verse 1 encourages us to approach others with a spirit of gentleness. Brothers and sisters, if someone is caught in a sin, you who live by the Spirit should restore that person gently. Through forgiveness, both giving and receiving, we can repair broken relationships and create a culture of respect and love. This is how we overcome the sins of the past and build a better future. The story of Ham and Noah may be thousands of years old, but its lessons are as relevant as ever. In a world where exposing others' flaws is often celebrated, we are called to rise above this trend. By choosing respect, discretion, and compassion, we not only honor those around us, but also reflect the character of Christ. Let us remember the examples of Shem and Japheth, who chose to protect rather than expose, to honor rather than mock. And as we apply these lessons in our own lives, may we build relationships and legacies that bring glory to God and reflect His love in the world. This story also challenges us to consider how we respond to the mistakes of others. Will we, like Ham, choose to amplify their faults for our own gain? Or will we, like Shem and Japheth, choose to protect and honor them, reflecting the grace and love that God has shown us? The lessons here extend far beyond family dynamics. In a world where public shaming is common, whether through gossip, social media, or personal interactions, we are called to be different. We are called to cover others' faults with love, just as Christ has covered ours. The story also points to the concept of generational impact, showing how our actions today can shape the future for better or worse. But no matter what mistakes have been made in the past, there is always hope for redemption. Through Christ, we can break free from cycles of shame, dishonor, and sin, building a new legacy of respect, love, and integrity. As you reflect on this story, I encourage you to consider how you can bring these lessons into your life. How can you honor your family, show discretion in your relationships, and extend grace to others? If this message has inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel for more thought-provoking content. Together, let's explore the timeless wisdom of the Bible and how it can transform our lives. Thank you for watching, and may God bless you.